You know that the Stanley Cup playoffs are going on right now?
Hmm?
You know the Stanley Cup playoffs are going on right now?
Yeah, Panthers are up 2-1.
Yeah.
Canada's not winning. Sorry.
Do you know what
Love you,
grabbed my
Canada, but
attention?
you're not winning. They haven't won it forever, huh?
They haven't. They're going to lose. Do you know what grabbed my attention? The commissioner, Gary Bettman, got into it with, I'm going to butcher the name, Paul Bissonnette. He's one of the TNT analysts.
Yeah, he's the guy who told a story that wasn't true about me.
No way.
Yeah.
Maybe I should pivot from what I was going to say and go to you. Biz.
Yeah, Biz Nasty.
I guess.
Yeah.
I really don't know him
He's the
well.
one that was talking about the state tax thingy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so you know about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and how it's not fair for Florida, but, you know, because people in Canada have to pay something or other,
Dude,
state tax or
Bettman crushed him. He's like, oh, that's cool. Where were you for 17 years when they both sucked? He owned him. And then he's like, I'm not going to really rely on you for, I mean, I'm paraphrasing
for
here.
accountant advice?
For journalistic integrity. He's like,
I can back that one up.
He said he was wearing gear of whatever team he likes or something on the set. So he's like, yeah, I'm not worried about you. And then he was like, next question, like as in the Biz. Wait, so what did Biz say about you? Did this ever get put on here?
I've had this conversation with Gretzky before. So because he works with him on TNT.
Okay.
So I've told the story where I did a puck drop at the Blackhawks versus the Coyotes in Arizona. It was they did because they couldn't get anybody to go to the Coyotes game. So they did a whole Chicago weekend. The White Sox played the Cubs in Glendale. The hockey arena was right there. So they tied it all in together, right? And they said to me, hey, will you drop the puck? I said, sure. Can I wear a Blackhawks hat? I don't know anything about hockey, but I know I was playing for the White Sox. The Blackhawks were winning cups. The Blackhawks were the hot thing. Taze and Kane and that whole deal, Hossa, the whole thing.
Yep.
They said, no, that would be disrespectful. I said, okay. I walk out there. I have like a white Nike hat, right? Mm-hmm. So I walk out there. I had a Blackhawks hat in my pants. So it was Shane Doan and I think Taze were the two captains. And they roll the red carpet out there and have the puck. And they take a picture of me. And then I drop, the place is it's all Chicago people at the game. Right? So I drop the puck. And I take my hat off and I switch it and I put the Blackhawks hat on. And the place went freaking crazy. Okay? Mm-hmm. Shane Doan, who was the captain, Taze was like, that was awesome. Shane Doan, who's the captain of the Coyotes, I think at the time goes, well, you'll never be invited back here. And I'm like, okay. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
Like you were going to anyway?
Like, you're really showing me, right? Well, I guess Biz was on the Coyotes at the time.
Okay.
And he told a story on his podcast, whatever that thing is, Spit and Teeth or whatever it's called, that when I did it, I walked off the ice and he sprayed me with water.
What?
And I'm like, and so I heard about this. People were like, is this true? And I was like, I'm pretty sure if he would have sprayed me with water, there would have been words and I would have, no, never happened. But he's told this story before. And I'm like, that is not true. I didn't even know who he was until this story. And then I turned on the TV and I told Gretzky, I'm like, hey, you tell this guy, like, don't lie. Like, you were mad, but like Shane Doan handled it. I knew what I was doing. It wasn't like this was like a whole, oh no. Like I knew what I was doing. And Coyotes aren't even there anymore. They're in Utah. My buddy Ryan Smith owns the team now. So the Mammoth, go Mammoth. Right? Don't tell that you did something when you didn't do it.
So he's just making stuff up to fill content.
I guess.
That's a weird thing to make up.
Even the lady who was in charge of like the whole puck drop thing came up to me and was like, that wasn't very nice of you. I was like, I don't care. Like, did I get the pop I wanted? Yes. Like, that's all that I didn't care about the hockey game.
Also, they're trying to recruit Chicago fans very clearly.
Yes, they did a Chicago weekend.
You gave them a moment.
Yeah.
Who cares? Oh
I have the picture somewhere of me with the captains, me dropping the puck. They didn't take one of me with the Blackhawks. I think you could probably Google it too. It's probably out there somewhere.
That is a weird thing to make up. Do you agree, Kratz? Like, oh, I got him. I got him with water. What?
He didn't have anything else. Wish he wasn't such a liar. But he was just trying to piggyback off of AJ's fame. AJ got him twice.
True.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I try to tell the truth as much as I can. Now, sometimes the stories might like get them confused a little bit, but I do try to tell the truth as much as I can on here.
Pretty sure that if someone was just dousing you with water,
you would know. The Gatorade bottles that were like.
That's what he said he did?
That's what he said he did.
Oh, my God.
I think, first of all, somebody probably would have seen it. And second of all, I would have remembered that.
or he's got no stream.
Or he needs his prostate checked. One of the two.
All right. Well, that took a turn that I actually loved. What I was going to say was much more boring. He was just complaining about Florida teams having an advantage from the state tax, which is the first time I've ever heard someone complain that a Florida team has an advantage. And in our sport, that certainly doesn't go very far. And I just thought Bettman destroyed him.
Well, shouldn't the Golden Knights have an advantage and the teams in Texas have an advantage too?
Yes. No doubt. And forget it, no marketing dollars if you're trying to attract a superstar. He's definitely looking at Fort Lauderdale over New York City or LA. Oh, wait. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to start playing that game?
Who's the best player in hockey right now?
McDavid?
And what team is he on?
Edmonton?
Oh, that's weird. Don't they call him McJesus?
I guess. I don't know. I don't know enough. I used to do some NHL. Now I don't, but fascinating. All right. Let's charge the mounds.
Charging the mound.
Forget McJesus. We've got the Roman era.
Empire.
Roman Anthony is here.
The Roman Empire. There it is.
It has arrived. Dude hits the ball as hard as anyone. That is true. Here it is. Bottom 9 against Fairbanks. Ooh, careful. He does hit the ball hard. That led to a run for Boston. It was a great game, but Boston is coming alive. Here's June Lee commenting about how the Red Sox call up the top prospect in baseball and the city responds. He said, one of my favorite things about Boston is that when the Red Sox call up their top prospect, it legitimately feels like a national holiday. The city's vibe changes. The weather for the game sucks, but Fenway's mostly packed. Everyone stood up for Anthony's first AB. I agree. It looked cool. The weather looked awful, and they looked lit for this.
Weather was terrible, but they lost. Oh,
they
Red
did
Sox
lose.
still lost to the Rays. The Rays are playing good. Cool. I wish he would have got a hit. He got an RBI, but he didn't get a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Struck out, had a bad error in the outfield, playing right. Mm-hmm. The ball went under his glove. That was a bad one. But, yeah, I mean, it's exciting when the number one prospect in baseball gets called up. I remember when I was in Texas and we called up Jurickson Profar. He was the number one prospect in baseball. You're like, all right, let's see what this dude can do. And everyone's excited about it. So, yeah, I mean, he hits the ball hard. He's a big guy. I didn't realize he was from Stoneman Douglas. So, I mean, Florida guys are always the best. Because the taxes are cheaper, Kratz.
That's what I was going to say. Daggone it. I was going to say, it's no fair. He was going to be the prospect. He was going to be the number one prospect because of the taxes. He didn't have income tax. Unbelievable. I think it's cool. I think it's so cool. I think this is a way that we can grow the game. You highlight when these guys get called up, not just prospects, but, you know, the number one prospect in the game. I just felt like the whole time I was watching it and all the highlights and everything I've read about it afterwards, it totally feels like Red Sox Nation thinks this dude is going to be their savior. He's not. Let's pump the brakes. This team needs to play better as a whole. Roman Anthony is not going to turn this season around. He's going to be a part of it, yes. He can swing the bat, yes. He's going to make errors. And other guys on the team make errors. Like, it was a sloppy weather game, and it was a sloppy game in general. But it's just another Red Sox loss. Like, it's not – you can't expect this dude to be the savior.
I'll tell you how big of a deal this was. My son is at orientation for college right now. He was watching his at-bats on his phone. Mm. And I said, why are you – what's the big deal? He's like, Dad, don't you remember we saw him in – Carey in whatever year he was drafted when he was a senior. He's like, don't you remember watching him? And I was like, where did he go to high school? And he said Stoneman Douglas. I was like, oh, no, I don't remember, but I mean, I'm sure I probably watched him if he was there. But so my son was engaged, so it got him engaged to watch his at bats.
Got a nice car. Did you see them?
Yeah. How about when he was leaving? You see the video of when he was leaving Worcester, which I still don't understand how it's Worcester when there's there's R, a C, and all these other letters in there they forget about. But when he's leaving there, some lady was like, are you getting called up? And he just was like, yes. And she's like, good luck.
That's cool.
I know.
If it wasn't staged, that's cool.
And then he pulls up in his, that's got to be a Mercedes, right? What is that, a Porsche?
I think it's a Porsche.
No, Mercedes. There it is.
Oh, that's the car next to him. I think it was a Porsche.
Oh. Well, I mean, AJ, tell me when you're a high pick.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, tell me if I'm wrong, AJ, but prospects getting called up, or even because I spent a lot of time in the minor leagues, seeing prospects in the minor leagues, dudes like got Louis Vuitton bags. They got Tom Ford bags. They got that vehicle. I mean, who knows what that thing is? Porsche, Lamborghini, some kind of matte black, legit pimped out ride. In the minor leagues, dude hasn't stepped 1 foot in the big leagues yet. And how's he going to upgrade his stuff? I always thought when you made the big leagues, that's when you got all the upgraded stuff. You got the Louis Vuitton, you got the Porsche, you got the Mercedes-Benz.
Trust me, when I was in the minor leagues, nobody had any. Torrey Hunter had like the nicest car. He had a new Explorer. We told that story where it got shot when he was in Pine Bluff the other day when Torrey was on. He had like the nicest car. He was a first-round pick. You know, Kelsey Mucker was, I think, a sandwich pick. He had an Explorer, right? And I got like a new Explorer, but my parents kind of helped me. My grandma helped pay for it. There wasn't a lot of that back when I was in the minor leagues. I mean, they get way more money now than when I was coming up. But nobody had like that stuff. I don't remember anybody having a car in the minor leagues that was like, whoa.
What round were you taking?
I was third.
Third round. Yeah. What was your signing bonus?
150, I think.
Okay, so this is a second round pick, 79th overall. No, almost into the third
I was
round.
I was like the 70th overall pick.
Right. So here's my point. He's 79th overall, and I get it. Like inflation, whatever. Yeah. I get that. So that'll change, but not to this extent. He got $2.5 million.
That's huge difference.
Yeah.
So I was drafted before him, and he got more money than way more. I mean,
even if we're
going to 30 plus years.
Yes.
Or it was almost 30 years.
It's still not a 20x, or whatever
it's like owning a team.
Yeah. So hey, good for him.
But he also probably made a ton of money in the minor leagues doing appearances, doing all that stuff, being a number one pick. Like, as much as I think we should grow the game more through the minor leagues, because look at what college football does for the NFL. It grows it becomes its own thing. I think we're far from that. We are much closer than where we were before when even I played in the minor leagues, which was more recently than AJ.
You know what I find funny is everyone's like, finally, they listened. Willie Abreu got hurt.
He got hurt. It wasn't like they called him up because they
I don't want to give him too much credit.
But I will say this about the Red Sox. Coincidence or not, it does seem like when the media and fans put pressure on them, they make the move. Like I know Bregman got hurt, Meyer came up, but like in spring training, Campbell was the hot name, and they're like, "Oh, we'll just throw him at second base because we need him on the team." I know, but it's coincidence, but it's just the way it's. We talked about Anthony yesterday, right? Boom, called
quick,
up.
Yeah.
I know it's coincidence. It's just the way it is.
Yeah,
but it's just weird.
And it so sucked that he made that error, because you're watching the other errors that the other guys on the team already make that night. I don't think somebody covered first. And then even the Rays, it was sloppy all around. The Rays tried to let them win the game. And Cedar Rafaela, I know you forget what the situation is.
He celebrated. Oh, yeah. He celebrated like the game was over. And
okay, thank you.
He took his helmet off and was like, getting ready. He's like, wait, where is everybody? Oh, I better put it back on because it was only a tie game. Did you see that? When he scored, he took his helmet off and was like getting ready to throw it, and he realized nobody was charging. Oh, my gosh.
So do the Red Sox have a fundamental issue that they're not addressing? Like a fundamental baseball defensive issue just in general? Or am I totally just cherry picking? Because when I watch their games and I go into it with a predisposed idea of, okay, they're going to make some errors, they're not going to be the cleanest out there in that sense, but do they have an issue with that? Is that why they're below 500 and constantly when they're good, they're right at 500?
I don't think they value that from their front office like maybe some other front offices do.
I think Alex Cora would, though, because that was kind of his game.
But he doesn't get to pick who they're drafting, developing,
but they make, for. Again, it goes back to the defense we talk about all the time. That's fundamental stuff, and you got to put some value on that. But if they don't, if you watch this game last night, both teams were ugly last night.
Yes.
Throwing to the wrong bases, not covering first, balls under guys' gloves, not knowing how to do stuff. Like, there was a lot of, if you watch the Red Sox, and I don't watch them that much, but when you do watch them, there's a lot of just mistakes.
Watch the Cardinals play and then watch the Red Sox play, and you're like, huh? Is this the same sport?
How about everybody's on the pop-up that Meyer ran in and missed? Wasn't it Meyer?
They got lucky on that.
Yeah, it was Meyer. But wasn't that ball foul? I saw the replay of that. Didn't that ball look like it was foul? I mean, I know the home plate umpire called it fair right away, but it looked foul because he touched it in foul and then it landed in fair. That's what the angle I saw.
How could everybody not know the rule? How are you a big league baseball player who wants to win championships and not know that's an infield fly rule and you advance at your own risk? I mean, even I think Yandy Diaz was on second. How do you just like jog to third and then the third baseman just fires that John to second and Yandy just was jogging to third like it was like a force out. Everybody got the play wrong. How does that happen?
Because they don't know what the infield fly rule is. Well, the runners panic. You see it all the time. Runners panic. They see the ball drop. They're like, I got to go. Not knowing that they're safe, right? And then the thing that Yandy was actually safe because whoever the shortstop didn't tag him. He didn't realize he had to tag him. But the second baseman, at least Campbell was smart enough to tag the guy going to second, and that's how they got – and it wasn't listed as a double play because there's an error involved in that.
Sure.
But
the rookie made the right move.
The rookie's the one that got it right.
Like, huh?
He's the one that got it right. But he also went to college. He went to college, right? The rest of them, Trevor Story didn't go to college, did he?
I got to look
Meyer didn't go to college. He's too young.
But I don't high school kids don't know the game.
I don't know.
That's what it is.
Let me look it up.
I know Christian Campbell came out of Georgia Tech.
Yes.
No, I think Story went to college because he came up. Remember, he came up like gangbusters with the Rockies. Hit like
LSU.
You went to LSU.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting a little wild. Let's.
All right.
No, wait. Selected Story. Rather. No, he did not. He's a high school guy.
High school guy.
Yeah, you high school guys.
So, in conclusion, after our first 15 minutes here of the show, if you go to college, you'll know the infield fly rule. If not, you won't.
Because, listen, in college, it's hammered into you. The fundamentals, I feel like in college, are much more hammered than in the minor leagues. Because minor leagues
you're
now
supposed to win.
Yes, and especially now in the minor leagues, it's exit velo and this and that. And
it's a video game.
Yeah, it's not. Well, when you go to – look at Murray State. By the way, God bless Murray State. We should talk about this at some point. They dogpiled twice because that was unbelievable. I'm sitting there watching this game going, if they lose this game after dogpiling, it's going to be one of the greatest, worst, whatever you want to call
viral
it.
flub.
I mean, because then they got to dogpile. And then the Duke coach is already at Virginia. He loses yesterday, goes to Virginia like today.
Hold it. We're going to talk.
Okay, good. Thank you.
We'll talk that right now in the break. Let's step aside. First off, if you want more on Roman Anthony, there's a show called Hot Sheet. We were on live when the news broke yesterday. So if you'd like to click over to the Baseball America YouTube channel later on and check that out, go for it. We also posted a breaking news pod from that Hot Sheet show on the Foul Territory podcast channel. So if you're listening to that, there's a little 10, 12-minute breakdown from some of my friends there. We'll ask Ken Rosenthal about how his column from the weekend came to life about Roman Anthony. This one's easy for us to talk about. I'm a huge fan of Hungry Root. They're delivering groceries that we want and groceries that we didn't know we want, but we want.
Oh yeah, they every box that I get from Hungry Root has a new snack in it that I'm like, oh, this looks interesting, and then I try it, and I'm like, oh, I might need some more of those. So they're great at not only getting the groceries you want, but they surprise you with tasty little treats that you didn't know you needed.
Agreed. Turkey jerky. There was like a chocolate pudding thing where I'm like, I'm not a big chocolate pudding fan, then I have it, and I'm like, this is awesome. So they can cater to your needs. You got gluten-free, or you're looking for a certain diet that you want to fulfill, or there are certain items that you love. They learn along with you. You let them know your preferences. They just nail it. Take advantage of the exclusive FT offer, please. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/FT. Use code FT. That's hungryroot.com/FT, code FT, to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. This is your time. This is your moment.
Which part? Which one?
Murray State's never been to the College World Series, right?
Murray State, there's only two people I've ever heard of from Murray State. John Morant and Kirk Reeder are the two people I've ever heard from Murray State.
John Morant, damn good basketball player for a while.
Kirk Reeder used to be like, Murray State. Their baseball field has a capacity of like 500, by the way.
Wow.
And for them to go to Omaha is really unbelievable.
Their coach mows their field. Their head coach mows their field. So if you think you can't do it, you can't be the Cinderella story, save it.
Okay, well.
Good for them. But yes, it would have been an
pretty,
ugly
but
viral
they
moment.
celebrated on an interference call by the runner at second base. The umpire was out, and then they reviewed it, and it came back, and they had to get another out. And so then they
advanced. Yes.
Yeah,
but.
and then they went to then the Duke coach, Chris Pollard, who was at Duke forever. The game's over. He must have already had it in his done deal because the Virginia coach left for Mississippi State. But then the Duke coach went to Virginia like today. They got eliminated last night at like 11 o'clock.
No, he was ready to go.
Is Virginia a better job than Duke?
I'll ask you because you're more in the loop on that than I am. But
I don't know.
I would say for college baseball, probably. At least if you look at the past 20 years of college baseball, Virginia is a much better program.
Probably right. Yeah. Same conference, though.
Yeah. Both great schools. Let's hit the inside scoop with FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal. And for those of you that think we talk about the Red Sox too much in a season where they're pretty mediocre, you're right. But Ken, Roman Anthony gets called up. He's the top prospect in the sport. You wrote about this weekend, and wow, how quickly your column came to life, right?
Well, I would think Roman Anthony's 497-foot grand slam on Saturday night had a lot more to do with the Red Sox decision. His performance over the course of this season had a lot more to do with the Red Sox decision than anything I wrote. But at the time I wrote it, that was the night he hit the grand slam. And that was also the night Christian Campbell made a play at second base that I knew bothered their staff, talking to some of them after the game. So I put two and two together, and I know they're concerned about Campbell's defense and have been really all season. That's an issue. And you guys were just talking in the previous segment about how defensively they have not played crisply at all. So ultimately, they need better from Campbell at second. But what I suggested at the time was bring up Anthony, move Rafaela to the infield, Ceddanne Rafaela, who can play the infield, not maybe as well as the outfield, where he is absolutely elite, but he's a quality player wherever you put him from a defensive standpoint. What happened was Wilyer Abreu suffered an oblique injury, and they had the opening created that way, created kind of in a natural way. So here's Roman Anthony, and we'll see how this all goes. It's not easy when you're a young player playing in a town like Boston where there is an intense microscope and adapting to the major leagues where the difference between AAA and the majors has never been greater. But this is a talented kid, and you saw even last night. He showed discipline at the plate. Major league debut, and he's still taking pitches, still doing his thing. There's a lot of promise there, obviously. That's why he's the number one prospect in the game. And we'll see if this helps turn the Red Sox around. Obviously, last night, it did not.
Ken, was this just
it was a long pause.
Okay, Ken, sorry. It was a dramatic pause, okay? But Ken, Anthony's there. Campbell's there, Myers there. Can the Red Sox still win this division or get back into the playoff race with basically three rookies on the field? We've seen Campbell struggle. Meyer has been okay. Anthony's one game in. But can they win or division and make a deep playoff run like they want to with basically three rookies in the starting lineup?
It's a great question, AJ. And we're going to see, as we've seen so far, Alex Cora pinch hit for these guys in certain situations against lefties, with Meyer and Anthony in certain cases, with Rob Refsnyder on the bench, Roman Gonzalez on the bench. Can you win with the three of them? Well, if they're good enough, I guess the answer is yes. But the bigger question with the Red Sox is still going to be their starting pitching. And the challenge that they face at the deadline is going to be whether they can turn some of their depth into starting pitching help. And I'm not sure they can. I'm not sure they'll line up with anybody, with any of the players they have. And when you're talking about the three kids you just mentioned, and Wilyer Abreu, who's been a brilliant player for them, and as well as Jarren Duran, All-Star Game MVP last year, top 10 finisher in the overall MVP balloting. I don't know how you get fair value for those guys easily. It's difficult to do. So Craig Breslow's second full year as president of baseball operations, he has a significant challenge ahead of him. And we'll see if he's able to somehow take advantage of his depth to address the needs of his club.
All right, you were just doing the Red Sox-Yankees game. Did they mention anything about, obviously Roman Anthony wasn't up yet, but Jarren Duran was a good center fielder. Raphael overtook him and they moved him to left. If Roman Anthony is not great, you're essentially putting him in a center field. Boston's right field is like a center field. There's so much area. Why would they not put him in left? Do they feel like the Green Monster is so hard to play that they'd rather have him out in right field?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, Eric, off the top of my head. When I originally wrote that column, the idea was Anthony in left, where he's been playing mostly, or where he is best. Duran in center, where he was a Gold Glove finalist last year, even if he's not quite Rafaela, and then Abreu in right. With Abreu getting injured, they did not decide that they wanted to disrupt Duran. They decided to put Anthony out there. Now, Anthony is a kid who can handle all three outfield positions. He's quite capable defensively. And I would imagine that came into it. Maybe let's not expose him to the monster right away. Let's have him play right field, which is a big right field, but he has played center in the minor leagues and played it at an adequate to above average level. So I don't see it as that big a deal, but it's a fair question for sure.
Ken, I'm sure you know this because you know everything. Your broadcast on Fox on Saturday had like 3 million viewers. Now, I don't know if that was combined between your broadcast and mine. So you guys got like 2,999,000, and then our Brewers Padres went to like 1,000 people. Is that how it worked? Is that like the breakdown? And did you request that on purpose, or was this something above your pay grade?
It's well above my pay grade, and you know that. And as far as I know, AJ, that 3 million, whatever the number was just for the Yankees-Red Sox game. And frankly, when I saw that today, that's the highest rating since 2022 for a regular season game. I was rather surprised. The game was okay. It wasn't great. And the Red Sox are kind of down right now, but it shows you, again, the value of those teams from a television perspective. And a lot of times fans complain, and sometimes I even complain, that we show the same teams over and over again, but there's a reason for that, because the most people watch those teams play, and when we put them on the air, we do the best as far as our ratings are concerned. So it's an interesting dynamic always, because if you want to promote the entire sport, you should promote all of their teams, but at the same time, Fox is running a business, ESPN's running a business, TBS, and they want the largest audience as possible, and that's certainly understandable given the amount of money they're paying for the rights.
Hey, I complain every day. All we talk about is Red Sox, but there's a reason why. People tune in for the Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Yankees. There's certain teams, Cubs, Cardinals.
Well, also in this case, AJ, in this particular case with the Red Sox, they're a fascinating case study right now because of these top prospects that they're bringing to the major leagues, because they've been a disappointment, because they signed Alex Bregman and traded for Garrett Crochet. They're a really interesting club right now. In a more interesting way, and I'll probably tick off people when I say that, then say Kansas City right now. Kansas City, yes, they brought up Jack Caglione, and that's a big deal, and that got a lot of attention, as it should have. But they don't have as many things going on as the Red Sox do. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying they're less interesting, because every team is interesting in its own right, even Miami. But the different dynamics going on with the Red Sox right now are really
even the Rockies? Even the Rockies?
They're interesting in their own weird way, too. Are they going to set the record or not? I mean, that's where they're interesting.
They swept the Marlins, the mighty Marlins. Ken, come on, stick. I know they're not big market teams, but the Rockies are getting hot. Okay, Ken, I need you to watch more all the teams.
I'm on, Derek.
One team that you probably didn't want to watch too much of the last 10 games, they were leading the National League with the best record in baseball, and the Phillies went 1-9. Obviously, they won last night. What do they need? Do they need something that is actually feasible to go out and get, or is it just something that we say at this time of year, and the Phillies team is the Phillies team, and they better figure it out?
They need Bryce Harper healthy. That's for starters. But what you're asking, Eric, is beyond that, because with Bryce Harper healthy, they were not necessarily gangbusters either. Left field has been an issue for them. Center field's been an issue for them from an offensive standpoint. They're going to need bullpen help, obviously. Even with Alvarado coming back, he won't be eligible for the playoffs. They know that. That's going to be an area of focus. If you remember going back to the offseason, they talked about maybe changing up the mix a little bit, doing something different just to jolt the team. And that's where the trade talks involving Alec Bohm came from. They never got that done for whatever reason. And it still seems that maybe this team, which is largely set, could use something from the outside that would elevate it. I don't know who that player is, but sometimes a deadline edition can have that galvanizing kind of force. And if they could go out and get the right left fielder, the right center fielder, that seems to me to be the kind of play that they should make.
Let's do it. There's a great name on there, Kyle Tucker to the Phillies. Oh, wait. Sorry, the Cubs are good.
Yeah, right.
They tried.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they did try. You're right, but they went to the Cubs instead. Speaking of the National League, can the Padres or the Giants – I know the Dodgers beat the Padres last night. It was a great game. But can one of these two teams actually catch the 500 Dodgers for like the last month or so? They've been just kind of hovering around 500, playing along. All the injuries. Can one of these other teams jump up and bite the Dodgers and win this division?
Well, AJ, if you were watching Fair Territory yesterday, you might have gotten some insight into that. I know you didn't.
Is that a
So
show?
I'll help you out here, and I'll answer the question as best I can. The Padres, my concern with them is the starting pitching. With Michael King down and Yu Darvish, you just don't know what you're going to get from him. They have done a remarkable job of bringing in lesser-name starters and getting the most out of them. Randy Vasquez is an example. Kolek's an example. They just do this kind of routinely under A.J. Preller, and it's really impressive, to be honest. Their offense in the last month, Tatis in the last month, hasn't been what it was earlier, that's for sure. But if they somehow can get Michael King healthy, for sure, and get more offense out of what they're getting, left field's an issue for them as well, then, yeah, they can hang in there. And the Giants are really interesting, too. Second in the majors in ERA, only to the Mets. They have that. They shook up their roster last week to, in their minds, hopefully get more out of first base, maybe in the outfield as well. Brought in Dominic Smith and Daniel Johnson and Andrew Kisner. That's not going to do it, I wouldn't imagine. Those are guys who are kind of journeyman players and guys who could help you short term. They're major league players, but ultimately at the deadline, they're going to need to be more aggressive. And there was an article yesterday written by Tim Kawakami of the San Francisco Standard. And it was very interesting because he talked to Buster Posey about the Zach Wheeler for Carlos Beltran trade many years ago. I believe that was 13 when that trade was made. Wheeler was a prospect. And of course, he went on to great things. Beltran did well for the Giants, but they didn't win that year. And Posey said that he loved that trade. Now, he was a player back then of the Giants, but he loved that trade because of what it represented, the go-for-it mentality. So if that was his feeling then, it's only been reinforced over the years, and he was clearly stating to Tim Kawakami, that's my feeling now. So I do expect them to be aggressive at the deadline. They've got the pitching. They need first base help, maybe another outfielder. They're an interesting club because that pitching is so good.
2011, and then Wheeler debuted in 2013. Man, it's been a long time. I remember that trade like it was yesterday. Feeling old. One more question for you on San Francisco. We haven't talked a ton about him. Obviously, he's not doing much. Are you surprised that Willy Adames has struggled this much? I know guys change scenery. They feel the heat, like they have to perform and live up to the contract. But I thought that there would be a higher floor for him, and now we're getting close to the halfway mark of the season. So when I've watched him actually play, it looks like a little bit of the fun is sucked out of him right now, which I thought I would never see. I don't know if you feel the same way, and I'm not there. So I'm not going to try and comment too much on this, Ken, but I'm just watching from TV and I'm like, oh, he doesn't look like the guy that's just joking around with everybody. You know, it's tough. He's getting all the money to go here and then he's not performing well. And these aren't people that he knows well yet.
He was certainly early on having fun. Now, I haven't noticed much of a difference lately. I haven't paid that close attention to that aspect of it. But for all the talk of Juan Soto struggling with his contract when he was never really struggling, just struggling by his standards, What Willy Adames is doing is really a problem. He's in the bottom 10, I believe, in the league in OPS, the major leagues. And when you pay him that kind of money, when you bring him in to be that kind of player, you want a lot more than you're getting. And part of their offensive struggles, sure, are related to the fact that they're getting nothing out of a guy that was supposed to be, if not a dominant offensive player, certainly a contributing offensive player. Willy Adames, at his best, is a good offensive player. He's not great. So that's been a surprise. And again, it speaks to the difficulty of the transition. When you get all that money to go to a new team, the expectations are high, the entire dynamic changes. He's not in Milwaukee anymore. So while it's no excuse, and I know fans think, well, he's getting all the money, he shouldn't have a problem. I get it. And certainly that's an understandable perspective from a fan's point of view. But at the same time, we've seen this time and time again. Often players who get big contracts, who go to new cities, they have a transition period. And it seems that Adames is going through that. He's got to be better. For them to get where they want to be, he has to be a lot better. And we'll see if it happens.
Let's transition from San Francisco up to Sacramento. Can you hit on the field conditions for us a little bit? What we're hearing from players. Zach Wheeler talking about he had no footing. He had to use all arm. Carlos Correa talking about sliding around in the box. Is Major League Baseball, were they aware of it ahead of this? And have they made an adjustment where they're going to need to come in and help Sacramento figure this out?
I don't know the answer to the second question, but certainly the league, in conjunction with the players' union, got the ballpark to a point where they both believed, and the union is part of this too, where they both believed that the playing field was sufficient, that it was good enough. And what we're hearing from players on opposing teams, you're not hearing this from the Athletics because they're probably too young and too afraid to talk. But what you're hearing from guys like Correa and Wheeler, these things are disturbing. And yes, they need to be fixed. I don't know with the heat in Sacramento coming that it's going to be really easy to get the field in a different kind of condition. It's probably going to get worse before it gets better, I imagine. Probably will get harder before it gets softer. But sure, this is something that needs to be carefully looked at and considered. And I've written about this quite a bit. I haven't written about this particular issue, but this whole idea of playing in that stadium, not just for 1 year because of a natural disaster like they're doing with Tampa, but for 3 years, maybe more. Well, it was never a great thought. And here we go, and we've had problems. The team has had problems themselves. It just isn't a good situation.
Yeah, awful. Now you're starting to hear the players speak out about it. And I really hope that it's not causing injuries like that Pablo Lopez loss, because that would suck. We have enough problems with arm injuries as it is. Ken, thank you. We'll see you on Thursday on Fair Territory.
Sounds good. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. Ken Rosenthal and Alana Rizzo with you live, 12:30 Eastern time on the Foul Territory YouTube channel. Watch Fair Territory. Questions for them, do it live within YouTube or on Chat BCC. Be right back. Oh, are we ready to announce the first contest winner?
We are. I think we are.
Yeah, we're ready. Kratz?
There's even more. There's even more connections. Nick Lindsay, you and your story are the winner today. And I think there's actually more to it. I'm not sure if AJ can say it, but Nick Lindsay's the winner today of the 2 tickets, up to $400 worth of tickets through Chat BCC, and he wants to use the tickets. He lives in Orlando. He's flying to Chicago to surprise his dad for his birthday, so don't tell his dad, okay? I get it. This may be AJ. He lives in Orlando. He's going to a Cubs-White Sox game. Don't know anybody else that's going to a White Sox game, but this is such a sick story. What an awesome surprise. Congrats, Nick.
True. And by the way, I'm going to be on City Cruises that day, July 27th. It's a Sunday. So come on out. It'd be me, Jermaine Dye, Ozzie Guillen, and There might be another surprise I can't talk about yet, but there is a good chance I will be in attendance at that game.
Oh, you're going to go to that game? Maybe?
There's a good chance I will be at that game, and you could see me do something maybe pregame.
July 27th?
July 27th. It's a Sunday.
That is cool.
A backflip.
And I'll probably have this hat on when I do it, which is a killer.
3-hour tour.
Which is a killer, by the way. Yacht Rocky giveaway. They haven't given it away yet, but City Cruises is giving them away.
It's a beauty.
So sick.
That looks good. All right, so maybe even a little extra for Nick.
Are you supposed to wear this straight? Are you supposed to wear it backwards and cutting sideways?
Straight looks good.
How do you wear this, Scott? When you go to the club, do you wear it sideways?
You know I toss it quick to someone in the crowd. Hey, here's the good news.
Congratulations, Nick.
Congratulations, Nick. This is just pure giveaways every week or contests. So head to foulterritory.chat and look out for the next one tomorrow. So if you're like, damn it, mine didn't get picked. Tomorrow, another either contest, trivia, or giveaway announcement. And we'll do this every week for a while now. We needed more giveaways to the FT fam. Nothing better than tickets to a ball game up to $400. So we'll reach out to Nick and we'll just keep rolling with these. So look out for the next one tomorrow. Here we go. Blue Jays pitcher Erik Swanson joining us right now on FT. Go ahead, Kratz. This has to be you to start to say hello.
I mean, I don't even need to see that ugly face. I mean, look at that. Why no just Swanee, the mustache just needs to be cleaned up, okay?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. We got to do something. I don't have much there, so I feel like in order to look older than 12, I got to at least have 3 hairs. Yeah,
but now you're getting to the point where you got to look young. Contracts start coming out. They're like, oh, that guy's like 26. Is that Swanson? No, that's not Swanson. That's Swanson. Are you jealous that there's another guy in the big leagues named Swanson? So he kind of took your flash, your flair.
Yeah, kind of. Now there's a couple of them. We got Swanson. They're all over.
Yeah, I mean, as an AWR, you just have to make sure you keep reinventing yourself, different things.
That's right.
Hey, how you feeling?
Doing good, man. Finally healthy. Feel good. Been a grind of a couple months, but we're finally back throwing in games again, so we're good.
What does that look like? Like, walk us through what the beginning of this season, starting in February, was like for you, and then like that mindset of like, the boys are going to put me in a big spot in these games once I get back.
Yeah, I mean, coming into camp, I actually went down to Florida in January, so I was down there early. I felt great, body felt great, and then the whole forearm thing happened where I had the nerve issue, and it was just kind of lingered for a while. Couldn't get better, which makes it pretty frustrating to have to go through an entire spring training constantly having setbacks, and then now being at the point where you're starting to build back up into games, and then you have one more season starts, and then you got to watch the boys on the iPad while you're sitting in a hotel room down in Florida. Never makes it easy. I mean, rehabbing sucks. Nobody likes to do it, but we made it out of there. We're back and ready to go.
Do you think baseball babies you pitchers too much? From whatever angle you want to take it. You were a starter and then you became a bullpen guy. Well, don't throw so much. You got to throw a lot to be able to get, oh, well, this hurts. Okay, we're shutting you down. Like, do you think if you were in a different situation, do you think baseball babies the pitchers too much? Just in any way that you can think about that. Like a little thing hurts. Oh, nope, shut it down. We don't want it to be big time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes both ways though, right? It goes, some guys are getting babied, and then now we're trying to argue the part of, how do we let guys go longer now? Now guys aren't throwing enough. So it's like that double-edged sword. It's like we're trying to figure out that happy medium of it. But yeah, for sure, guys. I think as they come up, depending on where you're at, you get kind of put in that routine of the days that you're throwing on, and that's always the big adjustment when you see these young guys come from the minor leagues to the big leagues, and they got to be ready to throw every day, and it's that big of an adjustment. So I think the organizations that do it where they kind of treat those AAA bullpens like a big league bullpen is a huge advantage.
Erik, I want to talk about your team for a moment. Where do you think the Blue Jays are at right now as they've been playing much better ball over the past couple weeks, aside from you, of course, back in the mix?
Yeah, I mean, we're in a really good spot. I think you look at up and down the lineup, the guys that are showing up for us, the guys that are expected to show up for us, everybody's doing it right now. You see those power numbers start to creep back up where they should be. You get some of these young guys that are filling their roles and coming up in really big situations. That's what it takes to win ball games. So that's what it takes to end up playing meaningful baseball in September and getting into the postseason. So doing exactly what we're doing right now moving forward is going to be how we get there.
Is it hard to watch this team underperform when they've underperformed? I mean, from afar, we're looking at this lineup like, dang on, like, why did these guys not hit? Why did they not hit last year and score a bunch of runs? Is it hard to watch them as a bullpen guy? You're sitting out there last year and now a little bit this year and seeing it like, how do we not score 9 runs a game?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, there's no way to sugarcoat that. For sure, it's frustrating, but it's the same thing. You look at last year; it wasn't just our lineup that underperformed. It was everybody. Our bullpen was atrocious, and I can say that because I was a huge part of it. Last year was a perfect storm of everybody underperformed, and then. Unfortunately, you end the last year the way we did. We went out, we signed some guys this year coming into camp. Everybody's excited. And I think you look at what we're doing right now is what we're expected to be doing. So I think there's a lot of hype around what we're doing right now. But at the end of the day, it's like the guys in the clubhouse, it's like, this is exactly what we're supposed to be doing. So, why do anything or why expect anything different than what we're already doing?
I want to play off the word that you just said, hype. So for a couple years, people were really high on the Blue Jays, right? People, fans, writers, etc., right? Sexy World Series pick for maybe the prior couple years. You didn't really see much of that heading into this season. Do you believe in post-hype? Because that's the thing with prospects sometimes. It's like the guy's 21, comes up. If he's not good right away, people kind of forget about him. I mean, I honestly even think someone like Jackson Chourio fits that mold. Like, he struggled for like a month and a half. People forgot about him. And then he was like probably the best rookie position player in baseball last year for the rest of the way. Do you feel like the Blue Jays have a label like that? Can you feel that as a team where you go somewhere and it's like, oh, we're playing the Blue Jays? Or maybe the prior couple of years it was like, oh, it's the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I mean, I think you saw it last year a little bit. We went into we finished 23 where we lost the wild card in Minnesota. And then we went into camp last year, and a lot of teams a lot of people were kind of picking us to not do great, and guys get pissed off about that, and they, we talk about it. You see or you hear what's going on, what people are saying about you, and then you go into this off season, kind of the same thing where it's like, all right, the Blue Jays need to make some moves, whatnot, and then we go into camp, and it's kind of the same thing. It's the hype isn't as high as it was in previous years. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like you're there to do your job. You're there to try to win as many ball games as you can. And that's all you can really try to focus on. I mean, that's the easy answer to say. It is what it is, but there's always going to be hype, and when teams don't do well, people hop on that train as quickly as they can, and people are pretty quick to hop off as soon as it flips the other direction.
How much do the boys talk about the stadium changes? You talk about the boys and how they talk about expectations, what they're going to do. How much of the hitters but also the pitchers. Like, it's not just your hitters hitting in a stadium that seems like has suppressed home runs. Do you pitchers in the bullpen go, it ain't suppressed nothing. We just got a much nicer seat up here now.
Yeah. I mean, that's something we've talked about the last couple of years for sure. I think going into those renovations, everybody thought power numbers were just going to soar. Everybody thought they were going to take off a little bit more, and they didn't. Obviously, I don't know the exact numbers of it. I don't know if it's gone up slightly or whatever it may be, but it seems like it's pretty similar to what they were. I mean, you talk about it. For me, it's more so like, is the roof open or is the roof closed is when those power numbers start to creep up.
Which one is it? Which one's better? Because I know R.A. Dickey always wanted the roof closed so that his knuckleball would knuckle puck time.
Roof open, the ball flies. Especially you get a certain wind in that city, it pushes it out pretty good.
To center? Or do you look, because when we would have the roof open, I mean, this was 2014, we'd look at the banners that used to hang in center field, and if the banners were moving, the wind was like just flying straight out the center. Everywhere else it played fair, but center it was just launching pad.
No, you're exactly right. Those banners start to move out there in center. That ball floats out there.
Just a little, just for the fans. When they go to the park, they need to know.
Erik.
Yeah, exactly.
Erik, so your rookie year was 2019. Now we're in 2025. Where do you think the game is at with signs compared to how you got to when you first entered the league in terms of sign stealing, right? Like, you've been on the Blue Jays for a few years now. I was thinking back. I remember the whole thing with the Yankees with Peekaboo Judge. And then recently we had the Red Sox and the Angels with some beef. And then you see afterward the first base coach taking some signs. I'm texting with friends who think that it's illegal. I'm like, nah, as long as they're just not using a device, you can do that. So from a pitching perspective, where do you think the game is now compared to where it was in 2019? And what do you guys do as a team to try and make sure that signs aren't being stolen?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely in the game, right? It's been in the game for as long as any of us has played. Obviously, the technology that's there allows people to archive certain things, pick up on tendencies, and that's just the world we live in now, unfortunately, as a pitcher. But I think there's certain things that you can do to figure that out. Some guys do a great job with it. Unfortunately, some guys don't figure out they have certain tendencies until they get to the big leagues. And it goes both ways. It goes, takes teams time to try to figure out who they're facing to figure out their tendencies. But you also got to have guys on your team that are able to say, hey, this is what you're doing and you need to stop doing this because somebody's going to pick up on this pretty quick. And that's not necessarily just whether you say it's a first base coach, third base coach, that's a guy at second base too, right? Like guys relaying signs from second it's been a part of the game forever. And as a pitcher, that's up to you to try to make sure he doesn't figure out how to do that. It is what it is. Obviously, it'd be great if it wasn't part of the game. It'd be a lot easier on me, but it is what it is, and you got to figure out a way that guys can't pick them up. All
right, who's the guy on the mic? Because I remember calling you up to the front of the bus when you were in AAA and making you get on the mic. But that was 2018. You've grown up
18.
now, okay? So who's the guy on the mic right now? Who does that the most work in the front of the bus on a road trip for the boys?
That's Springer right there.
And what's his go-to that you can tell us here?
His go-to. Let's see. What do we say that we can't get in trouble? Nah, Springer does a good job. I mean, you got to have a good personality on the mic. You got to have a guy that can keep things rolling and constantly talk. He does a good job. Anytime we get on the bus after big series win, whatever it is, we're shouting out people who did good stuff in that series. Try to get the boys a little bit fired up, talk about who we're going to face this next series, and make sure we know what we got to do. And then, depending on how long the bus ride is, then we have some fun with it.
You mentioned, first of all, before I even ask you a question, bear down. And then second of all, did someone call Springer up to the front of the bus and ask him why he was jumping up and down like a 2-year-old and then got tagged out after he slid into third and came off the base by about this far?
He was just excited, man. Sometimes you get a little bit excited. A little bit of an ankle issue, I think, is what it was. A little tweak the ankle.
Okay, and are you really sold on J.J. McCarthy as your starting quarterback? Because there's a good chance you guys finish fourth in that division this year.
I knew that was going to get brought up. We're not finishing fourth. I like J.J. J.J. is going to be good for us. Darnold was a good fill-in while we needed him. I think J.J. healthy now. I think he does really good for the Vikings.
Wait, you just said us and we. So you're going to be taking You're going to be taking snaps in the cold north, like you're going to be up here, or do you? Is that fair? Can you say us and we? You're not on the team, Swanee.
That is a pretty good debate that I've had many times. You never know. I might take some snaps. We'll see. We'll see if we can't get up there for mandatory practice here in a couple weeks, and maybe might be out there. You never know.
What position would you play?
Kicker.
Could you kick the ball? Could you make a field goal, or are you just saying you're just on the kickoff team, like you're just doing the kickoff?
No, I can boot it. I can boot it a little bit.
That's what they teach you in North Dakota?
I kicked a little bit. Kicked a little bit practice growing up. Punted a few times in the game, so I got a little bit of a boot. We could get there.
Okay.
Erik, I want to finish with this. I mean, you of course know this, and maybe I'll bring in AJ and Kratz right now, although I don't know if they'll get this. Maybe they will. So you've been involved in 3 trades in your career. And I'm looking back at other players involved in those trades. Nice names. I'm sure you know the 3, right?
Yeah.
Should we see if they know?
I know the 3 because I've been to Fargo, North Dakota before.
What does that matter?
What does that have to do with anything?
What is that?
Because I'm the only one that's been there on this show.
So you know the 3 players that Erik Swanson has been traded for due to the fact that you've been to Fargo, North Dakota.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Beltran.
Okay.
Is one.
That was good.
Right?
I know
Tay Oscar is one.
Yep.
And the third one just escaped me, but there's
a lefty. The big maple. Come on, the big maple.
Yeah, it's Paxton. James Paxton. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. What do you think about being involved in trades for some pretty big deal players? Or, I mean, do you not care at all? I mean, probably more cool to look back on someday when you're talking about your career sitting in a rocking chair like, hey, got traded for some pretty big names.
Yeah, I mean, I say the first 2 I got traded for were I was the throw-in. I wasn't the player to be named later, but I was not the headliner of either one of those. And then I'll say the third one I earned. I earned the third one.
Yeah, but Justice is not pitching. Justice Sheffield, if you guys remember that name,
yes,
was the young, tiny little, we called him tiny little lefty. He was like Ricky Romero, like 2.0, but he was the headliner of that. And then Swanee got thrown in because he had a really good catcher who probably helped him succeed at the AAA level. Just saying.
Yeah. Some would say that.
It was Higgy.
Not
it wasn't
everybody,
me.
but some would say that.
It was Higgy. It was Higgy that was helping.
We wouldn't say that, right, Swanee? We wouldn't say that, but some people might.
Some people might. Some people might.
But before you go, I know Josh Allen, and we got to go, but Josh Allen comes up there and takes BP. So next time you see him, wear your Vikings hat and say, man, I wish we would have kept Sam Darnold because they're pretty close. So I just want to see what his answer would be.
All right, I'll say something to him. He was there 2 years ago. I don't think he came up last year. We'll see if he comes up this year.
Okay, because I've seen them together. I've met them together. They're pretty tight.
And completely off topic, so that people know, you do spell your name correctly. You're one of the 3 people in baseball that spells your name Erik. So there's that.
I don't know another one that does.
He's a GM for the race. Eric Neander.
All right.
There you go. Wait, I want a last word on this. No, you get headliner in 2 trades. I know Justice Sheffield didn't work out. You were looked at as the side piece at the time. How did 2022 go? Mariners make the playoffs first time in a billion years. You had a 1.68 ERA, 70 punchies in 53 and 2/3 innings. I would say, if I look back at the history of that trade, worked out pretty well for the Mariners. It's the only time they've been in the playoffs in the past 20-something years. They've been in the playoffs 2001, I think it is, 2022, and that's it in the 21st century.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool one to be a part of.
Yeah, so we'll give you that one. You've got 2 out of 3. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for putting up with our ERIK. Good talking to you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, fellas. Thank you.
Thank you. Erik Swanson, Seattle Mariners, with us on FT. Oh, sorry, I said Seattle Mariners. Toronto Blue Jays with us on FT. Be right back. It's summertime, and if you want to let it all flow out, but the hair is thinning, there is a solution for you. And Kratz, it's called Nutrafol. Tell the people what they need to do.
It's easy. You just got to hit up Nutrafol.com and use our code FOUL. And I'll tell you why, because you're going to have thicker hair. That's it. If that's your desire, you want thicker hair, there's no other place to go than Nutrafol.com and use the code FOUL for us.
#1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand trusted by over 1.5 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, they're offering the FT fam $10 off your first month's subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and you enter the promo code FOUL, FOUL. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Kratz, the Phillies snapped a 5-game skid last night against the Cubs with a bunt.
A couple bunts.
2 bunts.
Otto Kemp knocked one down. That play by Shaw, I don't know how he did it. That play by Shaw was ridiculous, and I loved the effort right here at the end of the game by PCA. Didn't mean anything, but he was trying to at least catch it so his buddy couldn't get the ERA wouldn't go a little higher.
Yep.
So the ERA would stay the same.
Oh, yeah, it would still be the 1 run, but still to get the out. I get what you're saying.
No, it was 2 of them. The second one, he would get the out, so it would be less.
Because you pick up 1 out, so that's instead of no outs. You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't change the earned runs.
Yeah, the more outs you pick up, the lower your earned runs
It
go.
just takes away a hit from Brandon Marsh and makes it a sac fly. It doesn't change the earned runs. He only had to score 1 run.
But it's another third of an inning.
ERA would go down because he got an out.
It's a tick. We're semantics here.
It doesn't. It's
Break
more
it
that
up.
you take the hit away.
Break it up.
Outfitters used to want to catch it so they'd take the hit away.
Right.
It had nothing to do with ERAs. But I'll say this. That's when the Cubs do that play where the first baseman charges.
Yep.
And they try to get him to – but that play, the way they bunted the ball, that play actually cost them that time because they bunted it so perfectly that the first baseman, who was right-handed, caught it on the backhand, didn't have a play, and by the time he stopped – now when you have a lefty third baseman, that play works because he's left-handed and he's going towards it. But as a righty, he's got to stop, turn all the way, and then he had to return.
But
Right?
Palencia didn't run it right. Palencia went straight home, and he's supposed to cover the line there. So that's Palencia's fault.
Is this the catch of the year? Denzel Clarke in center field?
Nope.
Reaching over the wall and making
Solo
a grab?
catch of the year.
Oh, you mean the ones...
The one Abreu caught where he threw it back was the one, still.
But this is pretty freaking cool.
Solo, it's pretty good. This reminds me of the one in Japan where the guy climbed all the way up there and was waiting for the ball on top.
And grabbed it.
He's made... Dude, Denzel Clarke has made 2 of these that have been unbelievable. One of them, he almost killed himself. He ran in the wall so fast. But T-Nuts, my boy, he's made a few.
Torrey Hunter said this has to be one of the best catches I've ever seen, and I've seen my share of home run robberies. Okay, that was Nolan Shanwell at the plate, and Dallas Braden, who does the A's games, said, I've checked and the numbers are indeed not updated, which tells me they actually believe their metric is fair and complete. He's complaining about StatCast. I will at no point ever reference catch probability with any seriousness ever again. Pretty embarrassing, to be honest, if you have to preface the metric with, if you ignore the fact that the metric doesn't factor in X, Y, Z, blah, 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 well, your metric sucks. Because he had originally tweeted 95% catch probability. The math ain't mathin'. 100% agree there.
Yeah.
95% catch probability.
of people on the planet can't make this play.
How many major league center fielders scale it like that, time it like that, and make that catch?
Okay, Andrew Jones, Torrey Hunter.
Maybe Buxton.
Kenny Lofton maybe back in the day.
But I'm saying, guys, right now.
Oh, right now? Very few.
A few?
Clarke, maybe?
Varsho?
Maybe. Varsho made that catch where he was spinning around and caught it behind his back. That was pretty sick.
But point being,
I don't know. Most of them don't even try to make this play.
Yeah.
Because they get up there and they realize they can't catch it. Like he caught it as he was almost falling over the wall. That's incredible.
It makes it tough, Kratz, to look at catch probability. I like a good number, but then it needs to be renamed. The stat.
Right, but this is also a reason that we can't take every number on its face value, because some of the outs above average or range factor, which players are being evaluated on, and it basically starts, if he had started way farther in and run back on that ball, they would have still given him the same outs above average value, but his range factor would have gone up higher. So that's why you have to take all these numbers with a grain of salt. It's not 95% catch probability. That's 1% catch probability. And the only reason it's 1% is because he caught it.
I mean, Gary Matthews Jr., remember that one he made? That one was pretty sick, too.
Oh, yeah. Incredible. Travis Sawchik's going to join us later in the show. Good question for him is his thoughts on the catch probability metric there. That's a tough one to sell to a broader audience, right?
Yes.
If I'm talking to a buddy who watches baseball when, NBA and NHL playoffs end, and he's going to be locked in for a few months and he's going to be betting on games, I'm going to get a text. How is that 95% catch probability? And I'm going to say, I got nothing. Don't look at that stat.
Because the machine, the cameras, it's like 12 cameras, Hawkeye, that starts where Clarke is, and then it draws a circle around him. If he had climbed over the fence by like 5 feet and caught it behind the fence, obviously it would have been a home run. It would have been the same value, because that catch probability is all about the range that you're covering. And so it's saying anything that's caught in that range, the metric spits out that the ball should be caught. Doesn't matter if the ball's knuckled, doesn't matter if the ball is, how hard it's hit matters, but all those things go into that metric. So it's not an end all be all. Oh, he should have caught that, or whoa, that guy caught it. It was a 15% catch probability.
Yeah, I'm just saying, when you can't justify that as being one of the more difficult catches to make, it does really hurt the standing of that statistic. Agree?
Agree.
Yeah. Like when we're now going to do the other way.
And
like,
nobody understands
that
how they factor it in anyways. They just look at it like, oh, that was an easy catch.
It's tough. That one's tough. Because there were times when it first came out, right? And I was working for the league at the time, so all we're allowed to talk about is stats. And there were parts of it that I thought was cool. One of my big things is how someone like Lorenzo Cain would make all these catches and almost never dive. And I'm like, there needs to be something out there that shows how difficult it is. And I thought catch probability sometimes was helping that cause, right? I'm like, you've got one guy who's diving, tumbling like crazy, and then Cain, who takes a perfect route, strides over there and makes the same catch. That's, to me, what I thought the intent was. But now I feel like it's so off kilter with a play like this that I don't think I can rely on the stat.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
parts of it, if you go back and look at the reason Lorenzo Cain was so good, it was because of his jumps. And that's actually part of the stats that come out is what is their reaction time off the bat. And I mean, his was like half a second sooner on average than other guys. So that's why he made such great range catches.
Well, if I'm missing something, and we post this later on and someone wants to comment on it, please let me know what I'm missing or what everyone is missing.
There's no way that's a 95%.
Yeah, it's a bad look for the stat. The thing is, a stat can be adjusted. Obviously, it's got its formula. I think the formula needs to be reworked, or we need to relabel what the stat is about. That's my case here. And this comes from someone who often refers to numbers. So it's not like I'm anti-numbers to describe, because I didn't play. So numbers help me to describe some things that are going on the field. Anyway, let's get into numbers when we swing back. The power rankings for June on Foul Territory are next. If you're one of those on-the-go people, or you're skipping meals but you don't want to, there's got to be a quicker solution. We've got one for you. It's called Huel. I'm going to take a swig. Cheers to Huel. This is the Black Edition, plant-based as well. Good for me. But what do you like about it?
I like the nutrition of it, and the replacement meal is great for me. Someone always on the go. Like, man, I can just grab one of these out of my fridge, lunch, breakfast, whatever it takes. Whatever meal I'm not going to have time to eat, it fills me up. And it tastes great. You know why? Because it tastes like milkshake, ice cream, whatever you want to call it, whatever flavor you get is delicious.
35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, 27 vitamins and minerals, low sugar. You can get yourself 15% off plus a free gift for new customers using the exclusive FT code FOUL, F-O-U-L, at Huel.com/FOUL. Please see our description for terms and conditions. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition, bottled. We've got a call up. Jeff Passan this morning tweeting about Jacob Misiorowski, one of the best pitching prospects in baseball, getting the call to the show, expected to start Thursday for the Brewers. The fastball clocked up to 103 miles an hour this year. I haven't been tracking him as much as I used to because he's been around for a minute. And Kratz, he's 23 years old. He's had control issues in the past. It's not a surprise. He's throwing a billion. So we'll see what he looks like for the Brewers. I mean, he is a highly rated prospect if he can consistently find the zone.
Yeah, and he is long. This dude just strides. 103 is one thing. He strides so far down the mound. And I think sometimes guys with long levers, long limbs, even with hitting too, they just have a tough time consistently throwing strikes because their mechanics need to be zoned in. He went from like a wider windup to more of a controlled, like Tyler Glasnow type of windup, but he still gets so far down. He has some of the best extension in all of baseball, and he's only in the minor leagues. We'll see how it plays in the big leagues. I feel like 103 plays in the big leagues.
Yeah. Walk numbers are a little down this year.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, they're not great, but they're down.
They need a jolt in their starting pitching because they don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
They got Freddie P. And then after that, it's kind of like, all right, Savale, who do they have? And they've had a lot of injuries, so they need a jolt. Tobias Myers isn't there anymore. They need a jolt in their starting pitching. They're going to use this guy, Misiorowski, to try to do that for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Savale, Quintana, Quinn Priester, Chad Patrick. Misiorowski will fit in.
Yeah.
Got to throw strikes. Time for your June Power Rankings, powered by Arena Club. I'm excited.
For what?
For your
Arena
Power
Club,
Rankings.
New drops?
Yeah, I actually have one that I'm going to show you at the end. Who wants first dibs?
I'll go. Get it over with.
Kratz, go.
Huh?
Kratz first.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kratz. Who's your first team on your list?
I got to make sure everybody knows. The Mets, because they're the best. The Mets are the best. So I went Mets, Dodgers, Tigers, Phillies, Yankees, Cubs, Padres, Giants, Twins, Astros. I feel like you can mix and match all those, but I'll be honest. After the Padres, I don't really care. Like, I don't think any of those teams even deserve to be in the top 10 from what I'm seeing right now. And I kind of had to force those. I had to force those teams. So,
you mean you had to force the Phillies, who are 2-8 in their last 10 and have played horrible for the last about 15 games, up to number 4 spot?
They were 10 bad games. Has anybody had 10 bad games after they were the best record in the National League? Never.
But isn't this right now, or isn't this?
It's a mix. It's how you look at it. Yeah. So you don't like the Giants, the Twins, or the Astros that much?
I don't like what the team has in total for when I looked at power rankings. I looked, what does a team have in total? What do they have moving forward? The Giants are going to have to figure out how to score runs. So I'm like, okay, well, the Padres, they're kind of in that same boat. I think the Padres are a little more electric. I think they have a power-packed lineup, but their starting pitching is what it is. Pavetta's going to kind of go down. I feel like Cease has to be that ace. Not he's going to go down. I'm saying Pavetta's going to, come back to earth. He had a good start to the season. I feel like some of the metrics say he's going to regress a little bit. And so the Padres could be in that mix of like, I don't really know about them. And I didn't have the Cubs higher because I'm not sure the Cubs lineup can carry the entire team. And so to me, I picked my power rankings based on the fact that these are teams that show me that they're going to have strength for the rest of the season. They're going to have success for the long haul. And that's really why I put the Mets up there. I was very skeptical about them not having enough starting pitching. But who's starting pitching would you rather have right now? The Mets or the Dodgers?
Right now, the Mets, for sure. The Dodgers have Yamamoto. Kershaw looked good the other day, but
Dustin May
looked okay.
It didn't look good yesterday. Sweeper wasn't
Roblewski, he pitched good the other day.
Yeah. Wait, here's where there's a difference. AJ, why don't you roll out your list, and then I think you and I are on the same page about something, and we can debate it with Kratz.
Well, first of all, I have Dodgers at 1. Why? Because Dodgers just get bored. You saw them. They showed up to play the Padres last night, and that was a hell of a game, and they had to hit. They started hitting, right? They kind of get a little bored, okay? But they're still the best team.
They're jaded?
They're still the best team. I'm sorry. I don't care. You say whatever you want. They're the best team. Mets are second for me because the Mets are right there, okay? 3 for me is the Tigers, though. Tigers have the best record in the American League. They have in the 1-2 punch, if they're healthy, of Skubal and Flaherty is as good as you could probably find. And the way Hinch handles the bullpen, top notch. Okay. Then I go Cubs. That's kind of a big jump for me, but I just think their offense is that good. And if they figure out, Palencia's kind of figured out the back end for them. I think Council knows how to handle it. By the way, love you, Lucille. You're awesome to me. Padres are 5. Giants 6. It's hard to separate those two. Phillies are 7th because they haven't played worth the crap and they can't hit. They with Harper out, they haven't hit. So that's why Yankees 8 for me. And then the last 2, Astros, Cardinals, I just did them a solid. The Astros are in first place. They took over your Mariners. And the Cardinals are playing good. If they could get Ryan Helsley just to save a game, I think he's blown his last 3 saves. They might even be at 9. Which is a huge difference.
It's a good list. We've got a lot of similarities here. So I'll jump right to mine, and then we can pick apart.
Plus, I wanted to give Ollie Marmol a little love. So
he deserves it. The Cardinals do look like a top 10 team in the sport right now. I've got Mets 1 over the Dodgers right now. Should the Dodgers have a better rotation than the Mets come playoff time? Yeah, but I have no idea what it's going to look like. So I've still got them as a top-notch team, but I think these teams are pretty close. Offense, defense. Give the Dodgers an edge with their bullpen. Not a huge edge. And then give the Mets an edge with their rotation right now. Mets have guys coming back soon, too. Sean Manaea could be their ace.
Yeah. Listen,
Those two are close.
Those two to me are the easiest two probably on this whole list to figure out.
Yep. I agree. For me, I am much higher on the Padres than most of the rest of life since the offseason.
I mean, I got them at 5.
No, you're right. I'm saying there are still, even the Athletics list had them like 8 or 9. Still, I'm like, what else do they have to prove? They're neck and neck with the Dodgers. Their bullpen is sick. They lost by a run last night. This is a good team. They're missing guys too that will come back. I'm sure Michael King's going to figure it out to get himself back, hopefully for their cause. Yu Darvish will be back at some point. I got the Tigers 4. So for me, I want to put some National League teams ahead first because I do think the NL is better than the AL. So then I'm like, okay, I can start my AL excursion at 4 with the Tigers, 5 with the Yankees. Then I go back to the National League. Cubs. These are teams that I think have a few more flaws. Cubs. Do I trust the bullpen to maintain itself like that? Offense looks great. Phillies. They're going to have to redo some things with their bullpen in addition to getting some more life back from their offense. Giants, 8. They're there. They're playing well. I don't know if I trust the offense long-term, but the pitching's there. Astros, for me, I actually felt really good about at 9. They're leading the AL West. They're playing good ball, and they're missing Yordan Alvarez for a while now, and he's going to come back at some point unless they discover yet another injury that the medical staff missed. And then the Cardinals at 10. They deserve it. Solid team, playing well. Not sure what they'll do at the deadline. Are they going to go all in and pick up a big piece or two? I'm not sure, but this right now is a contender.
Yeah.
We have the Phillies quite a few spots lower than the guy with the red hat on.
Yeah, with the Phillies hat on, you mean? Oh, that's even worse.
Braves for anyone listening on the pod later on.
But I just can't put the Phillies there right now because Harper and their offense is not score runs. They're just not scoring runs the way we expect them to score runs.
Aren't they relying on...
listen, Wheeler's really good. Nola hasn't been good.
No, and he's been hurt too.
Yeah.
Suarez
back into their bullpen, Romano, like, is that who you're going to count on in the 9th inning?
I can say that their bullpen is, they're going to have to, Dave Dombrowski is going to do something with that bullpen. He's going to go and get guys he missed in the offseason, going to get Jordan Romano. You thought he was going to bounce back. He hasn't. He had like a 6-game stretch. I can't get on board with their starting rotation being bad. Their starting rotation's been electric during this time. The only person that had a stinker in these last 10 games, which you have to remember, they had the best record in the National League before these last 10 games. So this is recency bias that you guys have pushed them down. But the only starting pitcher that gave up more than 2 runs was Jesus Luzardo, and that was twice. So you got Christopher Sanchez doing it. You have Ranger Suarez who's doing it. You have Zach Wheeler, who I don't think he's a Cy Young leader right now, but he's a top 3 guy with Skeens and Yamamoto. Like, to me, the solid rotation that they have may enable them to maneuver some things later on in the season here.
I just worry about their offense. Home runs per game in the small park, 17th in baseball.
But
right? 17th in baseball.
But that was the reason that Scott says, well, this is not a playoff lineup. So they've changed to not hitting as many home runs, and they've almost decreased their strikeouts per game by an entire strikeout from last year. So they're striking out less, putting the ball in play more, and they haven't scored as many runs. So should they go back to the all or nothing, dingers or nothing? They're definitely watching them play. It feels like they're trying to change what got them knocked out the last 2 years, but it's not producing more runs. It's just producing less strikeouts, which is the exact reason why all the metrics say strikeouts are not a big deal. So it almost looks like they're toying with things like, ooh, we're going to try to take the ball the other way. We're going to try to get the base hit through the middle, shorten up with 2 strikes, and they're doing less damage. So is that good or bad?
It sounds like you're trying to sell me on the Phillies, and Scott and I ain't buying, doesn't it? He's trying to make excuses for why they're not hitting. They're not hitting for power. Schwarber's the only guy right now that can hit a home run, and even he's not hitting them right now.
They're trying something different because of exactly what their goal is, it's World Series. What did Bob Nightingale say yesterday? World Series or bust. And swinging and missing and constantly not making contact in October was killing them. So
yep.
We'll see.
They
it
have
seems
to
like
hit
they're
good
all
pitching.
in.
Yeah, they have to hit good pitching. I'll give one more props at the end here to. Yeah, they do. I'll give one more props at the end here to the Mets because I didn't think I was going to take the Dodgers off the top seat the whole year, and I mean you haven't, but you at least had to think about it.
I thought about it, but listen, until they're the defending champs, they win when they need to. They still have that lineup. They'll figure out the pitching. They won the pitching with no starting pitching last year. They won the World Series.
You're right.
So to me, listen, unless they go on a 2-8 like the Phillies are on right now, or 1-9, it's going to be hard for me to knock them out.
Yeah, they've been playing 500 ball for the last few weeks, but look at their schedole: Yankees, Mets, Padres. They're playing good teams right now. But guess what?
The Padres came in. They're a game and a half behind them. What'd they do? They won last night.
Yeah,
it was a great game.
It was a great game.
Extra innings. They won.
But they're neck and neck.
Yeah,
with some teams.
Again, the
right
Padres
now,
aren't afraid of them.
The Dodgers are playing a different game from most of the rest of baseball because
they're just trying to get to the postseason, and then we go. That's it.
And will it work?
And they're veterans. You have to understand it's a bunch of veterans. Look at their lineup: Shohei, Freddie, Mookie, Muncy, Will Smith, Oscar. These guys have done it. They know. They know. They know. Just get us to the postseason, guys.
They're trying to crack the code. Can a team win a World Series and then win another one? Because we haven't seen it in a long time. That's part of it. All right, let's finish this seg with a reveal on a slab pack. Ready? This is what you can do on Arena Club. Get yourself a real card.
Cool.
Boom.
Ooh.
Got a Wyatt Langford auto. It's pretty. Wyatt Langford Bowman auto. That's what I pulled.
How'd you get that?
That's yours?
I pulled it in a slab
pack. Get one of these?
Dang,
you guys have pulled in slab packs. I've got more slab packs for you this week, but I picked first. This is the slag pack I got. That's me toying with it.
I feel like that should have been mine.
I've already got offers coming through. You know what the offers were? Pretty good.
I don't.
$380. I said no.
Said no? How much did you pay for that thing?
For the slab pack?
Yeah.
$100.
You said no to $380?
Saving the asset.
I would have sold that thing like Minkiewicz sold that World Series ball. Out the gate, yo.
Saving the asset for now. Holding. For a rookie
Minkiewicz
auto.
Should have sold that World Series ball, Scott. See ya!
And you could sell it right back to Arena Club, too, within 24 hours. They give you an offer based on fair market value. So use the code FOUL, F-O-U-L, and you can get involved here with your own cards in slab packs. 20% off, F-O-U-L, first slab pack. Or if you just want to buy a card, this is the go-to platform to do that. Be right back with Travis Sawchik. Kratz, you look different today. Do I see chubby shorts on your shoulder?
Oh, the sick design. I mean, don't even get it twisted, too, because the lining normally is like an SOS pad. This lining that's in the center is so soft, so smooth. The outside, so many things to choose from on chubbyshorts.com.
Facts. And the code FOUL for 20% off. I got the Tiger Sharks.
Ooh-wee.
Little blend of a tiger and a shark. It's beautiful. So don't wait. For a very limited time, shop Chubby's biggest sale of the year, $45 shorts and up to 65% off select gear. Hit up chubbyshorts.com and grab your favorites before they're gone. If you miss the sale, then use the FT code, FOUL in lowercase for 20% off. Support FT, let them know we sent you when the survey asks, and get ready to turn some heads. Summer's here. Dress like it in Chubby's. What's up? And by the way, Chubby's right here. Camo. I wear shorter shorts than AJ. It's on the record.
Ain't no doubt about that.
We're well aware. Chain's messing up my mic.
Also wear bigger chains and shorter shorts.
Yeah, that's my MO. What do you know about Scott Braun? Big chains, short shorts. Nice, Kratz. Very nice. Looks good. Hey, while we have a moment, one other thing we didn't get to with that Phillies walk-off, Brandon Marsh's first walk-off ever?
I can't believe that.
How
By the
is
way,
that?
I would show you my chubbies, but I wore them yesterday.
That's good
They're in the
too.
wash, so
We'll do a
In the
show
lake?
from the washing machine. He said first
Yeah.
walk-off hit of his life. Whole life, they said? He said, yeah, Pee-wee, T-ball,
I
all
don't
of it.
believe that.
I
I mean,
don't.
maybe, but I find
played
that
so
hard
many
to believe as
games.
a big leaguer. As a big leaguer, you didn't have a walk-off in high school or little league or somewhere. I mean,
I got
I
it.
don't know. I don't know that
We'll
I
ask
believe
him.
that. I mean,
We'll ask him. He was being funny. He's that
Really?
kind of guy. He'll kind of play. He'll play games with you a little bit. He loves a little bit of tomfoolery.
Okay. Travis Sawchik coming up next. I want to get to some trade candidates. He's got some thoughts on Sandy Alcantara. I'm going to start actually with the Denzel Clarke question because he's been tweeting about him as well. And then we'll get to some trade talk. Coming up.
maybe not.
Yeah.
Hey, Travis, what's up, buddy? How we doing? We're just going to stay on the air. We're not even going
back.
to break.
We're
Let's
back.
go.
Let's do it.
I'm good. You know, I was always curious if you're going into like the ninth inning of a World Series and you're catching, or are you aware that you might end up with the ball? Are you thinking about that?
Oh,
so you don't just
let me
throw it
explain
away?
something, Travis, let me explain something to you. The year before, in 2004, Doug Minkiewicz, he literally just texted me. He's a good buddy of mine, right? He had the ball from the Red Sox, okay? And he went through hell because I texted him. The game ended. I'm like, dude, put that ball on eBay right now, okay? And he didn't do it. He's like, I'm going to hold on to it. And then all hell broke loose. So, they fought over it and sued him and all this stuff, right? So the next year, I'm in the World Series. We have 2 strikes on Orlando Palmeiro. And my only thought going through my head, besides like, don't let this ball get by me, because there's a runner on third, is when Bobby Jenks strikes this dude out, the ball, I was going to have a death grip on the ball. Now he hit a ground ball, and Konerko ended up giving it to Jerry Reinsdorf. That junk would have been on eBay so fast. The game, we might have still been pouring champagne, and that ball would have already been for sale on eBay. So trust me, it went through my head a lot.
Yeah, you got to be calling a swing and miss pitch then, right? And
Bobby Jenks had the best curveball. I don't know what the metrics said, but he had like the best curveball in baseball. But Orlando Palmeiro could hit everything, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Konerko got the 5-year deal. I didn't. He got the captain. I didn't. All because he got the ball.
You still got a lot of glory from that time.
But it's all because he gave Jerry Reinsdorf. He's like, Jerry, here's the ball. We were,
Hero.
Yes, no, just kidding. He got it because he deserved it, but the ball helped.
Good question, though.
That was a good question,
Travis. Now,
yes.
And I like that you opened this up with a question for our guys, making my life easier. I have one for you. How does Denzel Clarke make a sick catch and only have 95% catch probability? I am a big StatCast guy. I'm big on outs above average. That is my metric of choice to try and look at how players are playing out defensively. I like it better than defensive runs saved. And I know this is a different stat for catch probability, but can you help explain what happened there and if there needs to be a tweak to make sure that it doesn't throw off the general public? Because I do think there's a problem and a misconception with a play like that. What do you think?
Right. Yeah, it's a great question. And it seems 95% seems like some sort of error in the system, because I don't know if anyone else in baseball could make that catch, maybe a prime Mike Trout. So I don't know if there is just some, how granular the data is. Does the system know exactly the depth of the height of the wall? And is it 100% accurate with where his glove was at catch point, that sort of thing? So that seemed like a 99.9% kind of home run outcome there. So yeah, I was surprised to see that come up. I was actually watching that broadcast last night. I was surprised to see the 95% catch probability mentioned right away. So that there's something off with that. And that's a good question. Maybe I should dig into that and ask the folks, the IT folks with the StatCast system, what's going on? Because that seems wrong.
Travis, not only that, it's like the home run that was hit in Tampa that went 312 feet and the wall was 314 feet. And then StatCast miraculously made it 320 feet. It's just little things like that people are like, I don't know that I trust this whole metric thing. But I digress. Let's get into
maybe there needs to be some
way more
LiDAR in the system or something. I think there are some inconsistencies with wall depth and issues like that. So yeah, I don't think it's a foolproof system, but it's certainly a valuable system.
There are some LiDARs in there, but anyways. So let's go back to the A's. Why are the A's so bad? I mean, I had them as a sleeper. I thought they were going to be around 500, had a chance maybe to make a postseason run, but why do they suck?
Yeah, it is pretty shocking because they have this really nice collection of young core players. Jacob Wilson's been awesome. I'm not sure anyone's had a 1 week highlight reel like Denzel Clarke in center field, and you have Soderstrom and Nick Kurtzoff. It's just Lawrence Butler's warming up. So yeah, it's surprising to see them struggle as they have, and I do think it comes down to their defense. They're one of the worst defensive groups in baseball. They have some softer velo lefties, and I think that's really exposed the left side of their third base left field, where they've tried to squeeze in some offense and Duhar and playing Rooker and other folks out of position in left field. So I do think some of their defensive weaknesses have been exposed with just how their pitching staff is comprised of. But yeah, I think defense can get. I know teams prize it, and slug first players have kind of been on the outs, but I do think the A's are an example. Not that it's just defense, but the home park, it's a gas can. You can't mistakes get amplified there. Mistake pitches, mistake defensive plays, and I think the A's are just a really good example of you still have to catch the ball. It's one of the key components of baseball, and they're just not doing it well. They're one of the worst offensive clubs in baseball, and it's really undermined what was once a promising start to the season. But they've just been on this dreadful run.
Travis, let's get into some trade talk. I know we're early, but we want to know who we should be keeping an eye on. Who are some very interesting trade candidates in your mind?
Yeah, the guy that jumps out to me is Sandy Alcantara, and he is, going into the season, I think most of us looked at him as perhaps the prime trade chip this summer, one of the few aces available who is thought to be on the move. And if we just knew his fastball velocity coming off his first full season back from TJ, would think, oh, he's right where he needs to be. And it's even his stuff metrics are not bad at all. He's got 5 above average pitches according to Stuff Plus. So you look at the underlying ingredients, like this is still a very valuable trade chip, but the performance has been very poor. I think he was the worst qualified, maybe still is the worst qualified pitcher in terms of ERA in the game. So he's fascinating. Will teams look beyond that, look to some of the underlying skills that are still present? Will they be scared off by the command, which has been shaky and which has been his undoing? Will that come back as he gets further removed from his return from injury? So I still think he's the ultimate wild card who has tons of upside this year and beyond. And I'm curious to see how his next few starts are going to dictate a lot of his value, of course. So I've been tracking his location plus data, and it's been inching up a little bit. And it's really fascinating because he's really not missing by much. You look at how Baseball Savant classifies as shadow pitches, waste pitches, pitches in the heart of the zone. These are only off by like percentages off his best years. But even being 2%, 3% off from your prior highs can have a huge impact, as we're seeing, and damage done by opponents, walk rate. So can he make these little 2% improvements that could have a huge impact on his overall performance? He just stands out to me as the most fascinating guy going into this deadline.
If he's the most fascinating guy, who's the most fascinating team? Is it the Red Sox possibly maybe making moves, or is it the Diamondbacks who also could possibly, because you hear Duran, Buehler, Chapman on the list, and then you think of Gallen, Suarez, maybe Merrill Kelly, maybe whoever else they can get, Naylor possibly. So who's the most fascinating team that could be a seller at this deadline?
Yeah, I think the Red Sox really jump out to me because they have this huge influx of young players, young elite prospects who have arrived, and they have to make room for them. They've underachieved this year and are in position to potentially be sellers, and they could have some of the more attractive names. You mentioned Duran, Abreu. I still like a lot. I think the Red Sox do, but how do they make that outfield work with Roman Anthony? So it's interesting. Trevor Story still at shortstop. Are they going to find permanent spot for mayor this year. So they have all these moving, attractive parts, and this would, while their fans don't want to hear it, this would be perhaps a opportunistic deadline to take a step back, trade off some pieces, and build around this impressive young core. I'm not sure how many teams their young position player core. I'm not sure there's another team who has anything more attractive than that, with Campbell and Anthony, who just debuted, of course, yesterday, and Marcelo. So they're in an interesting position. I think you're right, AJ, that they're right at the top of the list, and Diamondbacks aren't far behind, and they're in such a tough neighborhood in the NL West, which is another consideration. So yeah, I'm in agreement with you that they're two of the more interesting names. Baltimore, they move their players on short-term contracts like an Eflin. So yeah, it's this June is going to be such an interesting month to see if we get some clarity and separation who buyers and sellers are.
Let's go to timeline for Kyle Finnegan. Kyle Finnegan's been a closer. He was available kind of at the trade deadline last year, didn't get picked up, got non-tendered, and didn't get picked up in free agency. Is there a thought around baseball that teams don't want him? Because I've never heard anything bad about him. He's an incredible dude in the clubhouse, in the bullpen. He's been elite coming in as a closer. Could be their all-star again, unless James Wood is their all-star. But is there something around that? Because every team needs a starter. If not, you can plug him into the 8th inning.
Yeah, it's a great question. And you would look at it as just saves tallies the last few years and assume he would be very attractive for teams looking to fill the 9th inning. And even if you have a better reliever talent-wise in your bullpen, to have a Finnegan and to utilize a higher-end arm in high-leverage spots, be that fireman of sorts, you would think he would be attractive to a number of teams who want a veteran presence there. So he has had an odd journey over the last 18, 12 months, including the non-tender. So I thought he would be moved last deadline. I think you have to think he's another prime candidate this deadline, along with like David Bednar, to help a team looking for some ninth inning stability. So I would think, again, I think teams might reevaluate and look to acquire him this deadline. So yeah, it's been, you're right though, it's been one of the more curious calendar years for any player in baseball.
Yeah. I said starter. I meant closer. Yeah. I said starter. I meant closer. He's been that closer, and the Nats they're really a team that nobody really talks about because they're just kind of middling, and they haven't recently made that big move. It's weird to not trade a guy who then you non-tender. So it's not like teams were asking too little because you got nothing out of it. You could have gotten something for him.
Yeah, I think teams probably look at the strikeout rate and aren't enamored with that and don't want to, pay for that, which is understandable. But at the same time, I do think there is value to having that 9th inning experience. And even if you're not an elite bullpen arm, there's still a place and a role for that. So maybe the asking price has been too high, but you're still looking at a guy who, 38 saves last year, 18 this year, 28 and 23. So there's not a lot of pitchers with that on their resumes at the end of for the end game role.
Travis, you've covered the Pirates quite a bit in the past. You know this team pretty well. Do you think there's any chance they do something beyond just the IKF, Tommy Pham, veterans, going to be free agents? Like, do you think they shop Key Brian Hayes because the bat hasn't come around and maybe he switches scenery and is better? Brian Reynolds, you think he could get dealt at the deadline for a team that obviously is super thin at the margins with how they're operating budget-wise because they have to based on their owner's prerogative? Do you think they try and switch things up? I mean, this current construction of the offense is not working. That's pretty clear.
Yeah, for sure. And they're in such an interesting situation, with, of course, Paul Skeens and Bubba Chandler on the doorstep, and their overall starting pitching has been, well above average this year. But we all know about the offensive struggles, and, Connor Griffin looks really promising, but he's maybe multiple years away. So, how do they upgrade this offense? What could they, and if they're sellers at the deadline, if they're taking a step back, how do they, I think their focus should be on who can help them, if not immediately in 2026, of course, on the offensive side. So, yeah, I think they're another team who probably wants to be moving players on short-term contracts, like a David Bednar, even maybe Mitch Keller deal from rotation depth, or Haney. Falters had a nice year too. So they have some attractive pitchers on shorter-term deals who they could move, but they do have to have this. They have a window. They're in a clock. You have Paul Skeens after this year for 4 more seasons. Bubba Chandler, his clock will presumably start this year too. And the Pirates historically have not paid ace pitchers deep into arbitration. So you have a very tight window. You could argue they are the team that should have the most urgency to really look to improve 2026, 2027. So that's near Major League ready bats. And yeah, they're another team who maybe we should add into that collection of the most interesting sellers, movers at the deadline.
Yep, I'm with you. Travis, great to have you on. Give Travis a follow at Travis_Sawchik. Let us know if you hear about the catch probability investigation. We would
I will.
Get the thoughts. It sounds like a potential Travis article for the Score coming up. Thanks, Travis.
Thanks, fellas.
Appreciate it. All right, FT fam, be right back. We'll take a quick look at a wild finish to a game that didn't get as much attention yesterday. BetMGM locks. AJ with his plus 238 piece hit yesterday, and so does Pap with his plus 260. That's a nice hit. Sales money lately.
So I had 11 punchies. It was easy money.
Oh,
yeah.
And by the way, the Cleveland-Cincinnati game, easy hit too. That was like a no sweat bet at all.
Don't you enjoy those?
Yeah, it was like the bets. 5th inning, and it was already at 9.
Yeah. No sweat wins are nice wins. AJ's up 2. I'm up 65. Pap's up 4. Kratz is down 11-14. We'll get there. We're going to have to talk Kratz into going big at some point.
Yeah. Can't be scared.
What do you want to do, Kratz?
I gotta find my rhythm. I can't get sent down to AAA, so there's that. So I got to figure it out. You got to figure it out in the big leagues. I'm an everyday guy. Let's go. Today, might be the day.
You can get sent down to AAA. We have a minor league show called Hot Sheet. We could put him on that show.
Okay. We're not, but we could.
Yeah, we could, but we're not. We love you. You want to go first? And then AJ and I will go next round.
Yeah, I got the Cubs money line. Colin Ray going up against the Phillies. Cubs are a good team. It's pretty much a pick-em game, and I'm picking them to beat the rookie Mick Abel. So the Cubs money line, and then I got the over in the Nats and Mets game. I get it. Canning and Gore are 2 good pitchers, but the Mets lineup is too good. I don't think Gore can throw a complete game, and so there's going to be over 7.5.
He's fading the Phillies. Tonight's the night.
Yeah, he should have definitely gone heavy.
Tonight's the night. I like it. When Kratz is fading the Phillies, it's time to jump in.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I'm watching tonight. As you should be. Your allegiance should be to the people to get back on the board. Okay? One troll in the chat said he's never seen you win, but he doesn't watch every day.
That's okay. I've been on the show for 3 years. I've done okay.
You have done okay. That troll is going to troll. Just like Muncie said yesterday to us about teams that go after the Dodgers. Better than box scores. Let's dive in. Just one game here because we got a couple minutes. Josh Naylor, extra innings, bases loaded. Walk-off grand slam. How you doing? Perdomo, by the way, doused him post-game for real, not fake. If you listen back to the beginning of the show, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Naylor wasn't too pleased. He did not like it. He's like, do your thing. Let me know when you're done, and then I can do my interview. He's intense. Anyway, this was 4-0. Ho-hum. A lot of people watching Padres Dodgers, sorry. And then 2 strikes, 2 outs in the 9th. Mariners score 4 to tie it against a team that struggled with the bullpen. But ultimately, the D-backs get the dub. And the Mariners actually have to get themselves back on track, or the Astros are going to go strolling along.
Yeah. Yeah, Astros, that's why they're number 9 on my power rankings.
That's right.
In first place. And by the way, you mentioned that story that I told earlier. It was Keith Yandel, apparently, that said it, not Biz. So I apologize. But they're on the same show. They're on the same show. So
they are? Okay.
Whatever. You get them confused. When you never listen to it, you don't care. You get them confused. People said it was Biz. So, Biz, I apologize. It was your part.
Oh.
Anyways, so, yeah, this is cool, though. This game, walk-off grand slam, pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Justin Martinez exited in the 9th. Not awesome, by the way. Elbow issue. Hopefully get word in the next day or two.
Good.
Nah. Fun pitcher to watch, too. They're in trouble. What's up, Kratz?
Big league pitchers are not pulling themselves out of the game with 2 strikes and 2 outs. He turned and went this one.
Oh, here
and he's like, daggone it. Right there. It was a 1. Okay, so it was one strike. I was watching this game. I'm like, there's no way that Eugenio Suarez is coming up to get me another hit, run, or RBI. And sure enough, he got another at bat and got out again. But this is tough. The fact that they ended up losing this too, it's just tough when you see a young pitcher like Martinez who throws $1 billion, got his contract, and then he pulls himself out of. Essentially, he needed one more pitch to get out of that game, and that's tough. That's a big blow for a team that doesn't need any more blows.
No, they need help with that bullpen. They do pull off the win. It's a really good offense. But the Diamondbacks, I believe, have lost still 12 of 18 games. And that's with the sweep of the Braves in between that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a problem.
The only team worse than the Diamondbacks right now is the Braves. And the Rockies. The Rockies did sweep a team. So.
That's true. We can come up with some bad teams. We haven't done the power rankings on the other side yet, the bottom 5. But maybe one day. Anyway, we'll be right back with Slap Hands.
What's the opposite of power?
All right, BetMGM locks continue. AJ is up, coming off a big win yesterday.
Well, I'm taking the Marlins and the Pirates over 8 runs. The wind's blowing out in Pittsburgh, and Miami doesn't know who's pitching. And Mitch Keller's pitching. He's usually good to give up a couple. So that who will be
He's been a machine.
Although the Mets have had his number a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Yuri Perez returned yesterday for Miami, by the way. First start since September of 2023. I mean, picked up on that. I liked his first 20-ish starts in the big leagues. He was fire. So Marlins need something to cheer about, especially with Alcantara struggling. Anyway, I'll go the over on the Rays and the Red Sox. Rely on that Red Sox defense to add a few runs to the board for the Rays, while I think Boston's got a nice lineup. I thought that was the case last year. They've got an even better lineup this year. Devers has been ridiculous overall in the season, too. If you look at the numbers for him, Roman Anthony's up now. That should make the offense better. So Giolito has struggled this year, 6.42 ERA. Rays do really well against right-handed pitching this year. They've got some of the better numbers in the league. That's what's helped get them back in the mix. And then you've got Ryan Pepio getting lit up by Boston's lineup earlier this year. Add it all up. I'll go over 9 runs. That's my minus 130. But I'll do it tonight. 130 to win a hundo. And 1 home run lock from Mr. Kratz.
Julio Rodriguez. He's facing Brandon Pfaadt. Brandon Pfaadt's up in the league lead and giving up home runs. And Julio giving me I think it's plus 650. So BetMGM gives me a easy, no sweat home run lock. I'll take it.
And if your home run does not hit, MGM's got your back with the no sweat token. Activate it, and if you're
Yeah, you got the home run. You got the home run bet, no sweat token. Get your stake back and bonus bets. Slap hands. I guess I'm just going to Kratz Hatz. It feels like I'm talking in the third person if I call it Kratz Hatz. But the Braves. I've been losing a lot. The Braves have been losing a lot. We both need to turn it around. I think tonight's the night. Sale last night did his thing. But this week coming up here, oh, baby, talk about some of our guests coming up. We have Thursday. We have Hunter Dobbins. Probably. I'm actually going to ask him something about what he said about the Yankees that he doubled down on. Pete Fairbanks is coming on tomorrow. Friday, rookie. Oh, okay. I won't tell you who's coming on Friday then.
Who's coming on Friday?
Otto Kemp coming off his first. Otto Kemp, rookie with the Phillies. We got a little connection story.
Sal Frelick is scheduled for Thursday. Pete Fairbanks tomorrow, Robert Murray tomorrow for trade talk. We should have Denzel Clarke tomorrow too.
I'm going to ask him why it was only 95%.
I mean, we have to talk about that. He's also already, I think, towards the top of the outs above average board, and he's barely played so far this year. He's that good in the outfield.
Last one, catch was mid. Was that catch mid? We'll have to ask him.
The robot says it was.
That's who saying.
Mid.